Now in this second part video of using SQL Profiler, what I want to do is actually kick this off now. In the previous video we set this up and talked about the columns, events, and so forth. Now I'm just going to run this, and notice I kick it off and it's running now. Okay, so now what I will do is minimize this, and then I'm just going to generate some activity on the database. I'm going to go out here, and on the databases, on sales, I've got a table called parts, and so I will type a command, use sales, select asterisk from parts, execute that. Now I'm going to run one more. Let's select description weight from parts, so we'll just get those two. Then let's go into AdventureWorks. Let's expand AdventureWorks. Look at the tables here. There's a human resources employee. Let's select the top 10 rows from human resources employee. So there's our top 10 rows from human resources employee. Now, if I go to window, I can see down here that I've got another window running. Wait a minute. No, I just need to pull down. I'm sorry. So I go to Profiler. Notice it's captured all of this stuff, and it's still running. So what I want to do is come up here to the toolbar and click Stop Selected Trace. So I stop it, and there's my trace. There's my data, and notice what this is showing me. First of all, you'll see batch completed, batch starting. If I scroll to the top, you'll see that the trace started, it audited a login. Notice what happened down here. Let me get to where I ran my first query. Notice, use sales, select asterisk from parts. I see that I ran that query, and if I'm going to come across here, I can see the application name that ran it. Notice the SQL Server Management Studio query engine ran that. The username on NT was administrator. The login name, notice it shows the domain was Leesburg or LSBRG administrator. Then it goes on to show me on the batch completed, the next line down, the CPU time required for that, the number of reads required, the duration, client process ID. Notice the start time and end time for this particular command, and then there's other data out there. Notice when I chose select description weight, what this means is not only can I see what's happening to my server, I can see every individual query that was run and who ran it, and the duration. Now, I'm going to close this, and let's go back to my tables in sales and refresh those. And if you'll notice, here's the mark test trace table that this just created. So I right click and open table, and you can see now that there's all that data in the table. So just to give you an idea, look at duration. What if I go do a query on this table? This is called mark test trace. So I'll use sales, and I'll select everything from mark test trace, and I'll order it by duration and execute that. Now, if I look at duration, notice text data here. Let's change this. Let's do duration text data and execute that. Notice what I'm getting. I can see, here's my largest. I can make this descending and run it. Now, there we go. Notice, I can see my longest running queries and duration. Now, how cool would that be in real life to be able to run this for a couple, 3 hours and then run it and see which one of my queries took the longest time? And you will see this really get up there. I can look at CPU time, I can look at start time, I can do all kind of stuff, and I can actually query what happened to my database server to determine what's happened. This becomes such an incredible silver bullet for an administrator to know exactly what's happening to your database, who's doing it, when is it happening, and so forth. You owe it to yourself to get out there in SQL Profiler and spend an hour or two playing with it, looking at the possibilities. Get out in books online, look at it. There's some fabulous information about Profiler out there in some of the third-party books that you find on Amazon or in the bookstores. This is a tool you need to become very familiar with as an administrator in determining what's happening to your server and what you can do to make things run better.